Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and the new Agents of Atlas. This is a War of Realms tie-in. This was a pretty fun book. There's some parts about it that I didn't enjoy. Doesn't mean I didn't like them. I'm going to explain that. I'm going to have a bit to explain, including a whole bunch of various different versions of first appearances. What does that mean? Let me talk about who made the book, then I'll tell you about the book itself. So this is Fire and Ice, Chapter 1. Note, this takes place after the events of War of Realms #1. Yeah, we figured that out. We were actually able to figure that on our own. So, New Agents of Atlas. Greg Pak is the writer, drawn by Gang Hyuk Lim. Colors by Federico Blee. Lettered by VC's Clayton Cowles. And, that's it. Oh, Billy Tan does the cover art, and Giuseppe Camuncoli and Ella Bonetti and Pyong Jun Park did the variant covers. So it's two different variant covers. This was a fun book, all right? Basically a whole bunch of of the characters that you're going to know, without a doubt. Shang-Chi is here, acting a little bit out of character, but he's acting like a manga character as opposed to a comic book character. Is that a bad thing? No, not in the slightest bit. But a bunch of people could be a little bit confused or possibly even a little bit angry, like, that's not my character. That's cool. That's cool. There's also Cindy Moon in here, Silk. One of the spider characters. There's also Brawn, aka the totally awesome Hulk that's lost his total awesomeness. There's a very horrible reference to a not so great comic book, the World War Hulk 2, which was more like what do you call it? Building War Hulk, rooftop War Hulk. Anyway, I remember that. And Kamala Khan is in this also. Now, granted, those four people that I just mentioned really don't do much of anything in this comic book. They're really just kind of like a segue. These are ethnic, more specifically Asiatic ethnic characters who are, placed in this comic book as sort of a lean-in to being able to sitting back and watching these other characters kick some serious butt, while these, established characters go, whoa, that was amazing. Whoa, they're so strong. Now, here's where a whole bunch of people who are going to be very short-sighted are going to say things like, oh, this was dumb, this was no good, this was blah, 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 blah. Well, all of this was actually already explained in the comic book. There was a part where, I can't remember the name of the guy, but the dude who is in charge of the new Agents of Atlas, he has a pair. And he asks the members of the table, all Asiatic, Pan-American, Pan-Asiatic Americans, I don't know how the hell that's pronounced, but anyway, Asian and Southeast Asian subcontinent people, all right? And he's just like, listen, check this out. What is this? They're like, a pear. Okay, what kind of a pear? So Shang-Chi will be like, oh, it's a Chinese pear. What do you call it? Braun, Amadeus Cho, he's like, oh, no, that's a Korean pear. And Cindy Moon's like, no, it's whatever. Actually, she would have probably said the same thing. I don't even care. I don't even care. All right. But they're all saying it's different things. And Kamala Khan's like, I don't know what that is. But I do know that I get it, that my family and I get those exact same kind of pears from a Japanese market. So what's the point that he's trying to make? It's a pear. It's just a pear. Now, he asked the detailed question, but at the end of the day, it's still just a pear. And if you're from China, you'll think it's yours. If you're Korean, you'll think it's yours. If you're this, that, or the other thing, you'll think it's yours. Listen, I'm Italian and Native American, so it's it's a Professor Bill pear. So you know what? Take that. That being said, that's exactly what this comic book is. It's different. Because this is written by, and it's written by Greg Pak. And I've argued that Greg Pak isn't great for writing comic books as of late. He just hasn't been doing a great job, in my opinion. And it's funny, the best book that I've seen him doing was, now I'm going to kick myself because I can't remember the name of the comic book, but I've done the reviews for the first 8 or so issues. Really good stuff. Damn it, I'm actually really mad that I can't remember what it is, but it's Mech Warrior Who, something like that. Yeah, it was good. I just couldn't continue with it. I should have put it in my pull box so I don't miss the comic book. I did wind up missing an issue, and then I just never jumped back on it. Anyway, I think that the book actually ended now, which makes me sad, but it is what it is. That was actually a good book. Why did I like that book, but I didn't like most of his other books? Well, because he was bringing his brand of writing into those books. So I viewed it from a different angle. Look, man, I can read a manga. I don't usually read mangas, but I can read a manga, and I understand how mangas work. They work very differently than American comic books. And if I'm reading an American comic book with a manga spin on it, I'm not going to like it because it just doesn't feel right. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's the bulk of us. We get used to a certain thing. We get used to a certain way, and that's what we do. And even if you are adaptable and you can read multiple different versions or multiple different genres of book, you're still going to get bothered if you're reading a historical fiction book and they start talking about aliens. So it's understandable. And I ain't mad at anybody for being off put by the way that this comic book is presented. That being said, this was actually done really well. When you adjust your mind to what this comic book is actually supposed to be, that is actually supposed to be a manga in comic book form, it works. It works, it flows, and it helps that everybody on this art team is just a straight badass from beginning to end. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are all superhero, like Gang Hyuk Lim. Gang Hook Lim. It's not freaking Lim. What the hell? How did I just do that wrong? No, it is. I'm sorry. My bad. Gang Hyuk Lim. What do you call it? This guy's usually drawing covers. He's usually drawing variant covers. For him to be drawing an actual comic book, he must really be into this book. You know what I'm saying? Because this dude could sit back and just draw variant covers and make a living off of that stuff. So I love the idea that he's actually into the book. Federico Blee, come on. Every time that you see a comic book where you're just like, wow, the colors on this are dynamic and they really pop off the page, yeah, it's usually Blee. You know what I'm saying? Just everything about the art in this book, God, it's freaking excellent. And the dynamics of all the, including the panel layout, wow. They don't usually do that in mangas. Am I wrong? You don't usually get colors in a freaking manga. Am I wrong? So this was good. Now, I talked about there being multiple appearances in this, but different versions of appearances in this. Yeah. Buy this book just simply for the appearances. Look, if you've been playing the, what is it, Contest of Champions, I think the game is, Future Fight, Marvel Future Fight, then you probably know who Luna Snow is. If you don't, well, just go and check out Comic Book University, because I happen to have did a 10 thing, not 10 things about, but whatever, a Luna Snow explained in a minute thing. Now, I might have to update a few things on there because of the appearance here, but that being the case, this was her first actual comic book appearance, which is awesome. I love that. I love that. Love that about this. What have you now? There's a whole bunch of other characters who appear in this also, but while it's not their first appearances, it is their first appearances in an American comic book as opposed to a manga or a comic book that appeared overseas. You know what I'm saying? So there are multiple different versions of first appearances in this book, and that's really cool. That's really cool. By issue 3, I believe there's supposed to be another first American appearance. I don't know, man. But there's going to be a whole bunch of first appearances in this book. Now, are these characters going to take off? Don't know. But it's Marvel. And a lot of times the characters do wind up taking off. Let's be realistic. There are a whole bunch of people who hate Riri Williams and they hate the idea of Jane Foster as Thor. But I promise you they wish they had those comic books right now. Those first appearances, I promise you they wish they had those. If anything, just to make a buck. You know, if somebody went and ripped those comic books online, they'll tell you otherwise. But you know for a fact they regretted it. So this right here, whole bunch of different versions of first appearances right here in the North American and European area, right? The Western Hemisphere. Yeah, this was good. This was good. I really did like this. And like I said, the most important part of this comic book was that conversation about the pair. Yeah, that was really important. It's like a wise man having a conversation with you. You know what I'm saying? You're sitting at a table talking to a dragon, more specifically an oriental dragon, because those are the wise ones, not necessarily the fire-breathing, kill you and hoard your gold ones. So this was good. I enjoyed this. Definitely definitely grab this comic book for the payola aspect of it alone, or just because it was a pretty good story in a different element than what we're used to it being in. This was good. Anyway, guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.